Okay, so we'll continue from clause number 5. So before that, we can have one quick recap of what we had studied, what we have covered till now. So overall, this is a very simple. So we had a part 1, which is for CA in practice, having 12 clause. So that we have already understood. Okay, we have revised it so many times. Then part 2, we had got CA in service, which having 2 clauses like no bribe to pay, no bribe to accept. Only 2 clauses. Okay, so then we had got part number 3, which is general, all members, all CA. So we have got 3. No FCA. That means if you are not FCA, don't tell that you are an FCA. Not to supply the info. You are not giving the information required by the ICI or its council members. And the third one, then you are actually giving misleading info in your resume or whatever, in your write-up, you are in misleading. That means you are giving wrong information. Okay, I can say something like this. You are giving wrong information. And the fourth clause, what you have got is related to other misconduct. So one, imprisonment for period of less than 6 months and bringing disrepute for ICA. So anything they can book you under disrepute to the ICA. That's it. Okay, out of this clause 6, 7, 11 are very lengthy clauses which you had to study. Then we spoke about the part 2, schedule 2. Part 1 is again for CA in practice. So there the first clause was confidentiality. Okay, so we had learned about the confidentiality previously as a part of fundamental principle also. So we have seen different cases where we can verify where we have to comply with the confidentiality. Second, no examination. That means without examining your signing. Okay, either you should have examined, your partner should have examined, or employee should have examined, or another CA in practice. Okay, the name of the or prospective financial information. So you are signing the prospective financial information as if it is true and fair. No, you should check and tell only that whether the assumptions are reasonable, calculations are as per the assumptions, and you are to tell very specifically that you are not expressing any opinion. Now, the fourth one was very important. Okay, I can mark this important. Substantial interest, where you are expressing opinion on the financial statement, where you have got substantial interest. Now they told about different around 18 types of scenarios where if you are an internal auditor, you cannot be the external auditor. If you are internal auditor, GST and tax auditor, you cannot maintain the books of accounts. And so, okay, if you are holding 20%, you cannot do. If your member is holding, your partner is holding, if your relative is holding. Okay, so all these cases, and if your relative happens to be your relative as per AS 18, you cannot audit their books of account. So these are all the different types of situations we had discussed in clause number 4. Yes, with that we had ended with the clause 4. Now clause number 5. A CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to disclose the material fact known to him which is not disclosed in the financial statement. But disclosure is necessary for making such financial statement where he is concerned in that financial statement as a profit capacity. I can say more like he failed to modify. So there is one material fact which is not disclosed. And what he should have done? Okay, if we come to know, you should have made the disclosure. Okay, it's not a modify. I can say fail to have an emphasis of matter. Okay, because it's not a misstatement. It's a fact. Like we should have brought it as an emphasis of matter. But if they didn't disclose in the financial statement, you should have made it aware to the people. So now determining the materiality is as per SA 320. This would not apply in case where the statements are prepared by the members in employment purely for the information of the employers in the normal course of business and not meant for outside authority. That's it. One very small clause. So it says that if you are aware about any material fact which you should have brought to the notice of the concerned members or whoever who are using your report, you should bring it. Now, below questions on the Supreme Court judgment Kishori Lal Datta versus P.K. Mukherjee, where CA had not disclosed the fact that large amount of loan was given out of the funds of an employer's provident fund to the employer company. So generally what happened, you deduct the money from the employee and that PF you create as a separate entity, and they only will handle the employee's PF deductions, investments, etc. But what happened, this particular PF fund had given loan to the employer company in the contraventions of the rules of the provident fund. So auditor failed to report on the default. So CA report matters to the trustee and not to the beneficiaries of PF. On the default clearing the check received on the repayment of loan, CA report matter to the trustees, not to the beneficiaries. Okay, this is one of the case there. Let us see one illustration question. Okay, you can ignore this about this case. I think somewhere I must have given it. Mr. J, chartered accountant, came to know that the company has taken a loan of rupees 10 lakh from the employee provident fund. Okay, I think this they have given it from this particular case. So to tell you that I must have given this example, the said loan was not reflected in the books of accounts. Okay, so this is the problem. If you have taken a loan, you should have accounted. However, auditor ignored this information. If loan is not accounted, it should be a subject matter of qualification and next clause should be applicable. But please mark this as important because they have applied clause number 5. Because for me, personally, if the loan is taken and you are not accounted, it is a subject matter of misstatement. It is the material misstatement. Okay, but what ICA is telling, no, as per clause 5, it is one of the very important information. My company has not disclosed in the financial statement. It has taken 10 lakh rupees loan, but they have failed to disclose. That's why auditor will be guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 5. Alternatively, you can say clause number 6 also. Now, in model test paper, they asked one question. NIS Limited, a registered company, created a separate trust called Employees Gratuity Fund Trust. Okay. Both the company and trust under the same management. Obviously, this is generally what happens. You create one full separate legal entity. But generally, it will be the control of the board of directors. Now, Mr. Anuj is the auditor of both the entities. Anuj has observed that some part of the expenditure was not applied towards the objective of the trust. So, it was spent somewhere else. Now, he informed the matter to the board of trustees through a separate report, but did not qualify the audit report of the trust. So, the beneficiaries were not aware that this type of things have happened, that the funds have been diverted for something which is not matching to the objective. Now, is he guilty of professional misconduct? Yes, he is considered guilty because it is one of the very important fact which should have been disclosed by the auditor. Okay, so it was not disclosed. So they say that the report should have, the beneficiaries are not aware about it. Okay, you might have told the board of trustees, but you didn't inform to the beneficiaries. So that's why there is a professional misconduct on your part. CA Dice has signed the balance sheet and failed to give the disclosure of the charge created for 4.35 crores. Okay, so they had created some charge on the asset, but that was not disclosed in favor of the group company. The balance sheet size was 26.12. That means 4.35 of 26.12. It amounts to almost 16%. Yes, this is considered as one of the material fact which should have got disclosed. This is beautiful. We can say something like this. See, this is one of the material fact which should have been disclosed. So this may not be a subject matter of qualification, but something very important for the users to know. That's why clause number 5 will become attractive. Yes, any more questions are there? NIS is the registered company. Okay, this we have already discussed. Model test paper, we have marked it as important. Chartered accountant came to know that the company has taken a loan of 10 lakh. Said loan was not reflected in the books of accounts. Okay, again, I told you my interpretation. Clause number 5. Instead of that, you can also write clause 5 plus 6. Okay, now what is clause number 6? Clause number 6, you have failed to report material misstatement known to him to appear in the financial statement which is concerned in his professional capacity. That means he failed to modify. So there is a very thin line between when you say the modification and when the material fact is not disclosed. Now, this clause refers to the failure to point out the material misstatement which you should have qualified. Materiality has to be established and observations as preceding clause 5 in connection equally apply in this case. So that's why always, if any question comes, always you can say 5 and plus clause number 6. So, practicing chartered accountant was appointed to represent a company before tax authorities. He submitted certain information and explanations which were found to be false. Now tell me, is he responsible for this? Because he was appointed to represent and he gave some information, but that information was wrong, which the client gave. Alternatively, CA in practice was appointed to represent for GST authority, admitted statements written as well as oral, which were found to be false and misleading. Okay, now I say give one clarity when it comes to submitting to the authorized representative. Now, clause number 5 says that of the second schedule, if a member in factor fails to disclose the material fact known to him which is not disclosed in the financial statement, but it is necessary, he will be guilty of professional misconduct under clause 5. And clause 6 says that if he fails to report the material misstatement known to him in his professional misconduct, so chartered accountant has submitted the statement before taxation. Now the question is very clear, very silent, whether he was aware about the misstatement or not. So these statements are based on the data provided by the management. So statements are prepared on incorrect facts and misleading. So CA only submitted, acted based on the instruction, so not to be held liable. So in this question, there is one assumption inherent that the accountant was not aware of misstatements or non-disclosure of the material fact. Yeah, because despite you know that there is a material misstatement, fundamental principles only tells you that you should get disconnected. Okay, your objectivity will be hampered. They say no, if you feel that some information has been falsely prepared, recklessly prepared, misleading, you should not get associated with such information. So if this chartered accountant knew that this GST submissions what they have done is false, then why on earth he would have got connected? He would have disconnected. So what we have to assume that he was not aware that this was wrong. That's why we cannot hold him responsible, because he just represented them. Whatever clients gave, they just submitted it. I hope it's clear, student. Yeah, please mark this illustration number 31, very important. Yeah, they can ask you this particular illustration. Now, there are some more questions. CAP is representing VS Associates Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Unidentified credit in the books of account. And CAP was the statutory auditor of the company also at that time and did not mention anything in his audit report. See, now he was appointed when 1617 for assessment, income escaping assessment. Now you made a representation. Now who was the auditor at that time? You, and you are aware about it this time. The previous question, you were same representative, client gave you data, you submitted it, you are not aware that there is a problem. But in this case, so you are the statutory auditor, and how can you escape from this? Later it was found that sufficient evidence that credits were liable to be taxed. So he produced the false statement now to make his case stronger and made witness to present false statement also. See, this is clear cut in unethical practice. Now CA made some false witnesses, created false documentation. So he wanted to escape that as an auditor he was proper. Now in this case, knowingly he has been involved into this material misstatement. What do you think the provisions will say? Yes, it will say he will be guilty under both 5 and 6. Yes, that's it. A very small 2 clauses, friends. So clause number 5 says that if you are aware about any material fact, you should have told it. Like charge has been created, your PF trust has given a loan, or you have diverted the funds. These are all material facts. Maybe not subject matter of modifications. But there are wrong accounting, that means subject matter of modification only. If that is not modified, if it is not brought to the notice, then you will be guilty under clause number 6. If it's only material fact, clause number 5. I hope students this distinction is sufficient. By looking at the examples, you fairly understood now. So charge creation, then fund diversions or loan from the PF trust. These are all clause number 5. Any misstatements happening in the financial statement, okay, wrong informations, no, that will be part of your clause number 6. So in the exam, you can always quote both. We have already seen some of the questions where clause 5 and 6 both are quoted. So company was appointed, chartered accountant was represented. Okay, this we have seen already. And you see here, we will, okay, that's it. Only one question was there. And illustration 31 we have already seen. So he will not be held guilty, assuming he was not aware about it. And see, they have quoted both 5 as well as 6. So you can always quote 5 and 6. Next, clause number 7 does not exercise the due diligence, means due care, or is grossly negligent in the conduct of his professional duties. Now, students, if the CA has to work, he has to be working carefully. So, if he is not working carefully, he becomes professional misconduct. Okay, what is this gross negligence and due diligence? Is both are same or both are different? Does not exercise due diligence and gross negligence? See, both are bit small, thin line of difference is there, students. Okay, I can tell you something like this. What is lack of due diligence versus what is gross negligence? See, as per US laws, in case of gross negligence, you become liable for third parties also. Otherwise, third parties cannot file the complaint against you. Only members can file a complaint against you for your professional misconduct to claim the compensation. But gross negligence, anybody can file a complaint as per US law. Now, what is this lack of due diligence and gross negligence? Imagine, students, it is 30th September and you are driving the car and you saw the red signal, but in your mind, no, you are thinking all about the returns. Okay, I have to go and complete these returns, I have to file this. Okay, today I should be doing. So your mind was full of your tax audit related thoughts. Now, what happened when the red signal came? You didn't see that, you didn't realize it, and you straight away went. You crossed the signal. Now, was it a carelessness? Yes. This is what I can call as a lack of due diligence. That means you should have been more careful when you are driving. Your focus should be on the road. If you are thinking all these things, okay, I say that you are not careful actually. Okay, now what is gross negligence? This time you drink heavily, you see that red light, but you don't have a control your mind. You simply overdrive it to overjump the signal. So you are drinking and driving. So this is a gross negligence, Baba. So if an auditor signs the balance sheet P&L account without seeing, not even performing single test, that is gross negligence. So what is due diligence? Means you have tried your level best. Something like you wanted to tell, something got missed. And that is your due diligence, lack of due diligence. Okay, but again, it depends upon the circumstances of the case. What is that carelessness? Like a doctor drinks and goes for doing operation, consumes alcohol and goes. That's called a gross negligence. Okay, a doctor does the operation, he didn't consume alcohol, but the Caesar he has kept in the patient's stomach only. That is lack of not exercising due diligence. But both are punishable. So, though very simply worded, this is a very vital clause. And one more thing, student, any question they ask you, you can always attract clause number 7. You can straight away tell. Yeah, because something would have happened in the work. That means they have either due diligence is not there or gross negligence is there. So, you can always write this clause. It gets attracted whenever account has honestly and reasonably discharged. It is necessary to judge whether accountant is honest and reasonable to discharge the duties. Okay. The duty of an auditor brings skill, care, caution in the particular circumstances, not to be defective. He is the watchdog but not bloodhound. Negligence would not amount to gross negligence in case of minor lapses. So the small minor lapses happen. Instead of doctor telling this medicine, he gives another medicine. That medicine overreacts. Okay, I can say these are all minor lapses. Now, which do not constitute professional misconduct. That's why you have to go through the circumstances of the case. As I told you, student, like you have completed the operation and the seizure is inside the stomach only. Yeah, this is lack, is a carelessness. You have consumed alcohol and gone. This is gross negligence. Some medicines you are wrongly told. Okay, this is a minor lapse. So that like this, in audit also different types of lapse can happen. So depending upon the circumstances, your clause number 7 gets attracted. Now CA conducted the statutory audit of Haryana Daily Era, certified the circulation figure without examining the books of account. No, this is what is then on what basis is certified? What is that this number is true and fair without verifying the books of account? Now this is the case of like a gross negligence. So he is grossly negligent in the given case. He should have verified at least some books, okay, accounts, okay, what numbers they have reported. Yes, he will be guilty of professional misconduct. It's like you sign the financial statement without even looking at the numbers. You don't know from where it came. Just you signed it. Clear-cut case of gross negligence. Now, CA did not complete his work relating to the audit and had not submitted the audit report in due time to comply with the statutory. That's why, students, I told you earlier also, in CF firms, you will always see one notice at least 5 days before you should have given the books, otherwise they say don't come to us. Why? Because if any delay happens, it is considered as a gross negligence on your part. You should have warned the client well before in hand. So clause number 7, you should not be gross negligent. So in the given case, he was guilty of professional misconduct because he could not complete the work in time. At least he should have thought well in advance. NAM and Co conducted the stock audit as per the instructions issued by the bank. Okay, so who appoints you as a audit stock auditor? The bank appoints you. You go to the client who have taken rupees 5 crore rupees or more cash credits and verify the stocks. Now, instead of visiting the site where the stock was lying, the firm relied on the management information system, inspection reports and photograph of the stock taken by the employees of the borrower only. And that you see the height. You should have gone there. You should have physically verified. Instead, you took some photographs. You logged into their tally system or some ERP system and downloaded the data and certified everything is true and fair. Yes, this is clear-cut case of gross negligence. You can attract clause number 7. You are the statutory auditor of Speed Limited. Now, they did not observe, as an auditor, you did not observe any fraud committed during the year. CAG audit staff found that chief cashier has committed a fraud in the debtors ledger. Okay, now this is one catch. Auditor didn't find that there is a fraud, but CAG auditors have found that there is a fraud. Now one question came, have you applied SA 240? Have you seen that the cash area is a high ROMM? Okay, all these questions are going to come. So now investigation happened. How auditors could not find out when the CAG auditors found out? When the investigation was done, it was revealed that auditor did not exercise the skill and care only. Directors of the company intend to file for disciplinary proceedings against the auditor. Now they became very angry. What type of auditor you are? SA 240 told you should have done risk assessment. Nothing you did. Now, what is the position of the auditor? Yes, very clear-cut case of gross negligence. Is guilty. So cashier is absconding is one of the red flag for SA 240. When the cashier absconded only, we should have strike to you. You didn't observe in that fact also. None of the red flags. So you become guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, students, fine. All these examples are fine. Yes, now Agam Private is requested Sheetal to digitally sign the form related to the resignation of one of the director. Okay, there was one private company appointed you as a, say, for example, secretary on a part-time basis. So can you accept such work? Part-time secretary? Yes, secretarial work, you can always accept it if it is a part-time. Then you have to digitally sign the forms related to the resignation of a director, along with the copy of resignation letter to be uploaded for ROC. Now what she did, okay, Sheetal did, the signature of Rohit was simply copy pasted by another director of Agam. That means this Rohit never resigned. This director never resigned. Some other director took the forgery, made the forgery signature, and he forged one resignation letter and sent it to the Sheetal. Now, at least Sheetal should have verified the genuineness. No. Now, without verifying any genuineness, resignation was digitally signed and uploaded in the website of ROC. Okay, so this is the case of a gross negligence. Yeah, because as a company secretary, she should have gone through the signatures. Is that you should have verified it? Is this person has really done it? Okay, you are not, if your job is just to put a digital signature and upload, then first of all, why practicing CA is required for this? Anybody, no, anybody could have done this work. Why they have come to practicing CA? Because they are thinking at least practicing CA will apply their mind. If that itself you are not doing, then what is the purpose of your appointment? Why your fees has to be paid if it's just a copy paste work? Understood? No? Yes. So now in this case also you are grossly negligent, and you see students, so many questions they are attached, and you can always attach this clause number 7 for multiple reasons. Let us see, is there any exam question? NAM conducted the stock audit. Okay, we have already seen that they took the photograph and verified. Okay, this is guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, already we have seen this. Next, you are the started auditor of Speed Limited. Yes, we have already seen. Now they failed to exercise. The cashier had left. CAG had found it out. You did fail to follow, observe the red flags. You have not complied with SA 240. So this is the answer. Now, Agam Private Limited, Sheetal, the digital signature of the Rohit, these all cases are gross negligence. At least some amount of presence of mind could have helped you to figure it out. That means you are not doing it only. Okay. CAC conducted the statute of Haryana Daily Era by looking at the MIS report without examining the books. This also we have seen, gross negligence. Did not complete the work, tax audit or whichever, in due time. That is also guilty of professional misconduct, because you have not taken the due care or due diligence. So, what is the due care here? Within the time you should have finished. You should have told client not to, or that you don't bring the books to me, go to some other auditor. So, this is the case of not exercising due diligence. Yes. So, we will move on to clause number 8. Failure to obtain information which is necessary to express opinion or exceptions are sufficiently material to negate the expressions of the opinion. Okay, so what happens here? You fails to obtain the sufficient information. So in SA 200, they say that we have to obtain SAAE. So you have failed to obtain the sufficient and appropriate evidence so that you can express an opinion, or its exceptions are sufficiently material to negate it. That means you should have claimed a disclaimer of opinion. When you didn't get SAE, you should have disclaimed the opinion. So exceptions are so sufficiently material that you should have disclaimed, but you didn't do it. Yes. So it is expected that you express the opinion after examining the authenticity and reference to the information and explanation. Should not express opinion without obtaining sufficient appropriate evidence. Express his disclaimer in no uncertain terms. That means you should, that is the first part, is you fail to obtain SAE. And when you fail to obtain SAE, you should have expressed a disclaimer of opinion. So you have to give the disclaimer. For example, if the auditor has not seen any evidence at all of the existence and valuation of the investment, which is the only asset of the company, you should not say that subject to the verification and existence and the value of the investment in the balance sheet shows true and fair. That means you should give disclaimer, because it is the only asset. How can you give a qualified opinion? Subject to that, other things are true and fair. No, already in SA 700 we have seen, when you give disclaimer of opinion, there should not be any modification. No, there should not be any true and fair view of opinion on anybody else. You cannot give a qualified opinion also here, because it's the only asset you have. For the manner of reporting, reference may be made to SA 705. Okay, the below case important as it's part of illustration 32 old syllabus study material, where a chartered accountant issued a certificate of circulation of periodical. Okay, why this periodical is important, students? Okay, so you need to understand the background here. What is this periodical circulation? Now, see, for example, like we have this rating of this TV serials and all. OTP or something, not OTP. This rating of the TV serial, okay, which serial is highly preferred and something like that. See, now people claim that this is the best serial, this is the second best serial. So there is one methodology to collect the data. Which TV serial has got the main number of major viewers. Now, why this is information is for advertisement. Similarly, there can be one newspaper which can say that I have got 5 lakh circulations. Why? Because they want to get that advertisement revenue. Now, whether this number 5 lakh revenue, I have got 50 crore viewers, is this number true and fair? That's why it will get audited. So, where a chartered accountant issued a certificate of circulation of a periodical without going into most elementary information being maintained, by not looking into the financial records, etc., and by not carrying to ascertain how many copies were sold, he was held guilty of clause number 8. So, at the same time, clause number 7, same thing we had seen clause number 7 also. He was grossly negligent also. He failed to obtain SAE, sufficient appropriate evidence. A certificate is a written confirmation of accuracy of the fact. Already we have seen chapter number 7. So, clearly state his limitations. The respondent in none of the 12 certificates mentioned his limitation of assumption. So, if you have got limitations or if you have made assumptions, that you need to tell. Though in his written statement he submitted, his job was not to verify the assets physically, verification of the original bill. You should have told that matter. Okay, so when you have got restrictions on your work, limitation on the scope, you should have communicated that limitation to the users of the financial statement, users of your audit report. But you didn't tell. Same misled the IDBI bank of approving the loan. So if your job is not to verify the assets physically, you should have told, no, because banker thought that you must have gone there, physically verified it. How banker will come to know that it was not part of your responsibility? So you should have exercised due diligence and his grossly negligence, plus he didn't obtain sufficient appropriate evidence. So he is guilty under both the clauses. Transactions of land took place between Shivadarshan firm, a partnership firm, and Siddheshwar developers should have been reflected in the books of Shivadarshan, not in the. Okay, again, half of information they have given. Okay, we'll leave it. Need not bother about it, students. I have made the smaller font aside. Okay, leave it, because these are all the cases which are not completely disclosed, because I tried my level best to go through who is Siddheshwar developer, who is this Shivadarshan transport, construction and all. See, they have not given you complete gist, only some portion they have given. They failed to report the discrepancy in the report and all. So better let us not get into all this thing. Straight away we will go to the illustration. Okay, so you need to know that for clause number 8, you should have obtained sufficient appropriate evidence. No, you should have given disclaimer of opinion. A CA was the auditor of A Limited. The investment appeared in the balance sheet is 12 lakhs. Okay, no problem. Which is same like last year. Later on, it was found the value was inflated for the purpose of obtaining higher loan, and from long back they had done this. Now, this is a case of gross negligence, because when you should have gathered the evidence, you didn't even see this. You simply, because it's coming from last year, you signed it. Are you not bound by the opening balance sheet, SA 510? And second, did you gather sufficient appropriate evidence? No. So, you have failed in both the angles. First of all, you are liable for professional misconduct under clause number 7, 2 and 8. Okay. 2, you didn't know examination. 7, gross negligence. 8, no SAE. You remember, students, in the TV serial or movies they show, no? One person commits a crime. So he is punished under different sections. So this section for destruction of the evidence, another section for kidnapping, another section attempt to murder. And cumulatively they will be given one punishment. It's not just for one action, one crime. So similarly, they will see, okay, have you guilty? Have you done examination? No. Clause 2 gets subtracted. Very gross negligent? Yes. Clause 7. No sufficient. That means your punishment is cumulative of 3 clauses in real life. Yes, that's it. Clause number 8. Let's see, is there any question? Okay, this already we have seen. Value of the investment was inflated, so is guilty of professional misconduct. Yes, sir. Any doubts you have got in anything we have discussed? Yes. So last 2 more clauses are there. Again, very simple. If you have departed from any of the generally accepted audit procedures, then you should have brought this attention of the users. So CA in practice is guilty of professional misconduct if you depart from SA and you fail to disclose this fact. See, clause number 5, material fact. Clause number 6, misstatement you fail to disclose. And here, clause number 9, you depart from SA and that you didn't tell. The audit should be performed as per generally accepted procedure. So if you are departing, you should bring this departure. Now, SEBI notification, audit of listed entities. Statutory audit of listed entities shall be done by only those auditors who are subjected themselves to the peer review process. So you need to hold valid peer review certificate. So if you don't hold the peer review certificate, you should bring it in your report that you don't hold the certificate. Now, you need to require to mention your membership number and firm registration number, and UDIN is mandatory from 1st July 19 for all the type of reports, GST, tax audit reports and other assurance reports. Failure to perform the statutory duty is not excused merely by giving qualifications. Okay, so if auditor fails to verify the cash balance, where it was possible to verify, just by giving qualified opinion, you are not what's that called, escape from your liability. See, it is your responsibility to verify the cash in hand. If you have not done it, you should have brought this to the notice of the investors. Okay, don't just qualify it. Okay, so did not verify the cash balance. So you should clearly write why you are not able to perform. Just by telling accept cash balance, other things are true and fair. No, we were not able to verify the get sufficient appropriate evidence cash balance. No, you need to tell the proper reasons why you are not able to get. Okay, so please mark it. There are two instances under this which is very important. One, certifying figures of circulation of the newspaper. Okay, I already told you. Very often the members, means newspaper agencies, required to certify the figures of circulation of the magazines by their client on behalf of the Audit Bureau of Circulation Limited. Okay, so this is one government must have established one entity called Audit Bureau. Now, Audit Bureau of Circulation gives you the criteria to verify. On what basis to say that you are the number 1 newspaper, you are the number 2 newspaper. Now, the members should normally supplied by the ABC with the rules and regulations. This particular rules and regulation will be supplied. So they need to observe these rules and regulation, and if they are not able to follow something, they need to report. Because in case of audit of circulation of newspaper, these rules and regulations becomes standard or generally accepted auditing standards. So in short, they say that if you are doing the audit of circulation of the newspaper, you need to comply with the rules and regulations of Audit Bureau of Circulations Limited. In case you are not able to follow any one of the rules, you should disclose it in your audit report along with the reason like why you are not able to follow it. Now, if the government, you are going to verify something on behalf of the bank, the banks must have told some rules and regulations. So in case you are not able to follow any specific procedures which was told in the rules and regulation, you need to tell that matter, okay, and disclose that matter in your audit report. Okay, that's it. Done. CA started practice as a proprietor in the name of Mr. K Associates in the year 1516. LST is the limited entity appointed K and Associates as the statutory auditors. Okay, very good. So, qualified chartered accountants started in the 1516. Okay, by 6 years time, they were appointed as the statutory auditors of a listed company. Very good growth. Now, K signed the balance sheet of LT Limited on 14th of May. They never subjected themselves to the peer review process of the institute since the inception of the practice. Very clear-cut guilt of professional misconduct because they have not complied with the SEBI notification. And SEBI notification is more like generally accepted auditing practices or auditing standards. So these are all like rules and regulations given by the SEBI. So Audit Bureau of Investigation Limited, bank, SEBI, whatever rules and regulations they give, you need to comply. Mr. Manipal signed the tax audit report, filed online reports using the digital signature without generating UDIN. So you have not complied with the UDIN guidelines of the government. And why did you do so? Because you said there is no field for mentioning the UDIN on digitally signed online reports. No, this is not a valid reason. Guilty because UDIN is applicable from 1st of July 2019 on all sort of documents. So you should have generated. By not generating, you didn't follow the standard auditing practices. Yes, that's it. Now, GST Associates. Okay, let's see one examination question. Is an audit firm consisting of 3 partners. GST Associates specialized in internal audit, tax consultation, admitted CA Y as partner in the 24. Y has got vast experience in leading the firm and joins GST Associates, listed entity. Ruby Limited, a listed entity appointed GST Associates Chartered Accountant as the statutory auditors for the year ended 31st March 25. Now, this audit firm, which had a very good number of auditors and another new firm or partner was added, was appointed by CA Ruby Limited. CAY, the engagement partner, signed the balance sheet of Ruby Limited for 31st March 25 on 21st May, and they never subjected them to the peer review process of the institute. Okay, so this is very similar to what previous question we have seen. No, in case of audit of listed entities, peer review is very much mandatory as per SEBI. In the given case, you are not subjected yourself, so you didn't comply. So this is one of the answers. That's why you are guilty of professional misconduct. Otherwise, clause 1 part 2 of the second schedule part 2, okay, which we are yet to see. Clause 1 states that CA in practice shall be deemed if he contravenes any of the provisions of the act or regulations made by the council. So it was necessary that they should have got themselves peer reviewed. So by not doing it, they have violated the ICA regulation. So another thing which you can always say everywhere. So if any advertisement guidelines were not followed, you can always say that, look, they are guilty under second schedule part 2 clause number 1. They didn't follow the instructions of ICA. Now, statement of peer review shall be deemed to be the guidelines of the council. So as per the statement, every practice unit should have conducted the statutory audit of the entity. Okay, they should have had a valid peer review certificate. So in the given case, they are guilty of professional misconduct because they have completed the audit without holding the certificate. So you can also say that they have not complied with the RS, no compliance with the ICA guidelines. In that case, you are going to say clause number 1, part 2 of the second schedule, or you can say that by not following the SEBI regulation, they have not complied with the generally accepted auditing standards or auditing practices. And following SEBI notification is general part of, like, having a peer review certificate is a very common thing. It's general practice. So this is how you can write. Okay, students, clear? Do you have any of the doubts or any of the point? Yeah, please ask me if you have any doubt. So we'll move on to the last clause. With this, we are almost done. Now, holding of the client's money. Okay, clause number 10. Now, what a CA should do? Whenever they have received the money of the client, they should not use for their business. So that's why they have to open one separate bank account and they have to deposit in that account and keep there for the purpose. What you can do, otherwise you can use it for paying your employee salary. A client gave you for what? Client gave you for paying their taxes, but you are using for your purposes. You went for a tour and you consumed it. No, this type of practices are not followed, should not be followed, and it is going to remove the trust. So clause number 10 says that a CA in practice will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to keep the money of his client, except other than, the exception is there, other than fees or remuneration or money meant to be expected. That means if he has received his fees, he can use it for own use. If money meant to be expended for a intended within a reasonable time, short period of time, then also you can keep it. You need not deposit. But if it is not meant to be spent within a short period of time, it should be kept in separate banking account or use such money for the purpose for which they were intended within the reasonable time. Okay, so point here is, if the client has given you money, first thing, use it for the purpose for which they have given. Second, use it within short period of time. If you are not able to use it within a short period of time, then you have to open one separate bank account and keep that money separately. Don't mix it with your money. You must have seen such practices, no? Old people, they say that, look, okay, this is the money I will not touch. Okay, so this is, okay, in movie I saw. Okay, there is one father says, okay, grandfather gives one gift to the grandkid. Now the father is the custodian. He says, no, I have not touched that money. I have kept it as it is for the kid. Means that is not used for the rotation or the turnover of the client, or turnover of the organization. Yes. So in the course of engagement, member is entrusted with the money belonging to his clients. So you should utilize such funds only for the intended purpose. Don't you personally utilize such money. So consider some practical difficulties, because all people started to say that this clause is very difficult because certain time we will not be able to deposit. So is there a possible you can give me some exemptions? Yes. What are those? They say that if you have received any advance against the services to be rendered, then it is not part of your clause number 10. Like for example, you have to render a service now, audit service you have to have. So your audit fees is 50,000 rupees. 10,000 rupees you got in advance. Arey, Baba, you didn't even render the service. Okay, this is also we can call it as a mobilization advance. If mobilization advance is received before I start with the audit, should I go and deposit this money separately? No, because this mobilization advance is towards the expenses which I am going to meet. So you need not deposit in separate bank account. This is your money only. Now, money received for expenses intended to be spent within a short period of time. Yes, for this also I need not deposit. Like maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I may have to spend. Then putting in a bank account is another exercise. See, again, this is all 1949. Today, we have got digital banking. So I can easily create. See, previously what happened? I would have received in the form of a cash. I should have sent my attender to go to the bank, stand in the queue, deposit that money in this account. All these headaches were there. But today, we have got digital banking. So what I could have done, I would have opened one separate account and I would have told my client, okay, you do the NEFT transfer to that only. Google Pay to that particular account only you do. We could have done that very easily. Okay, but we are talking about the earlier period. They say that if the money is received towards the expenses, if you have to spend within say 1 or 2 days, you need not deposit. However, if you are not intending to spend within the short period, it should be kept in a separate bank account. And again, if any money is received in your capacity as a trustee, executor, liquidator, again that also should be kept in a separate bank account, not to mix it with your own money. Yes, that's it. This is all about this clause number 10. Okay, let us see some of the examination question. Charitable institution entrusted 10 lakh rupees to its auditors to invest in specified securities. Now, auditor deposited in their personal saving bank account and no investment was made only. Yes, you will attract clause number 10. First, you will write what is clause number 10. You are guilty if you are not going to keep that account in a separate account and you are using it, fails to use such money for the purpose. That means you got the money for depositing in to making investment and you didn't do that. First of all, you didn't deposit in the separate bank account and you misutilized it and used for your personal use. So in this case, you will be guilty of clause number 10. Let us see some how twisted examination questions they will give. A film artist was there who deposited 20 lakhs with the tax consultant. Okay, Mr. G, a practicing CA, for payment of GST. Okay, so this film artist, some heroine, must have given them 20 lakhs and say pay this GST whenever they are due. So when they are due means, okay, that means monthly when they are due, that means right now I don't need this money immediately, because right now 20 lakhs he must have deposited, he must have gone abroad. So right, like maybe 2 lakhs I may have to pay, next month 3 lakh I need to pay. So what is that I should have done immediately? Deposit in separate bank account. This is what I should have done. But he utilized the amount of installment which he did not pay. So he was supposed to pay 2 lakh, he didn't pay. To remit his own advance income tax he used. Okay, he has violated clause number 10. So now while filing the GST return of the film artist, he paid that money along with the interest due for the late payment, and he personally bore that interest expense because client there was no problem. You cannot charge the client no interest expense. No, client will shout and sit on your head. He will say, sir, 20 lakh so I have already given you long back. Why you didn't pay that? How come interest they have charged me? So what this chartered accountant did, he only paid interest out of his pocket because he used that money for his advance taxing. Is he guilty of professional misconduct? Answer is yes, very big yes. Even though you would have set it right by paying you from your own pocket, the interest expense and all, you have not complied with the institute's guidelines. So you can also write the clauses which says that there is a gross negligence is not there. You can say that you okay, yeah, this is the clause you can write, clause number 10, that you didn't deposit that money in the or didn't use that for the purpose. Okay. Now, firm of chartered accountants received 2 lakhs in July 2018 to pay the advance tax. Okay. Firm used that money for the own and later adjusted with the outstanding fees. Still nothing doing. See, you must have set it right by paying interest expense from your own cost. You could have outstanding fees also. You could have adjusted, sir, whatever money you have to pay me, you need not pay me because I have already taken. Point is, the moment you received money from the client, have you used it for the said purpose? And if you are not going to use it immediately, have you deposited in the bank? These are the two questions you need to answer. One, have you used for the said purpose? Second, if not, have you deposited in the bank? If both the conditions are not fulfilled, okay, then, if any of the condition is not fulfilled, then there is a professional misconduct. That means you used it for, you deposited immediately, but used for your personal purpose. Or used for paying to the client only, client's tax only, but you didn't deposit in the bank account. Such cases, you will have a professional misconduct. Now, CAN was appointed as an auditor of JAL, decided to visit 6 out of 10 branches. Very beautiful case students. You see here. CA was appointed as a JAL Limited. Now, they wanted to do one branch visit, 6 out of 10 branches. Management paid them advance of 2 lakhs. Now, is this they need to separately deposit? No, because it is an advance towards the mobilization advance. As agreed, 2 lakh was transferred to his bank account from which he met all the expenses. Comment with reference to the CA Act. Is there any professional misconduct? No. There is no guilt. He is not guilty because he is permitted to receive mobilization advance. Yes, that's it. Okay, if we go back to the client money, R is a firm of chartered accountant received 2 lakh towards the professional services of the charitable institution. Institution gave 10 lakh for the investment in, okay, this we have seen that you didn't do the investment and you didn't kept it in a separate bank account also. So he is guilty of misconduct. Charitable institution gave 10 lakhs to invest in specified security. Auditor deposited in the SB account. We have seen this illustration 13. Okay, now you see examination January 26 question. Amit is the auditor. Also taken statutory compliance related to income tax, GST and MCA for the client. For carrying out the compliance within the time limit, KTV transferred 3 lakhs to Amit with an email to clearly earmark the utilization of the said amount. Okay, that means very clear cut instructions we have got from the client. 1 lakh to be paid as an advance for the professional fees or the ongoing taxation work. Okay, I need not deposit because this is for me. And 1 lakh 80 for making statutory payments, which is coming within 1 month. So this money I have to deposit, but this I need not deposit because 1 lakh 20 is towards the mobilization advance. So he received entire 3 lakh in the savings account. And if the time gap is 1 month, so he should have kept it separate. Within 2-3 days, yes, he could have got it in the SB account. From the amount of 180, he deposited 50 towards TDS, 60 towards GST within 1 month. The balance 70 to MCA filings and DIN renewal was deposited after 3 months due to the portal issues. In between, he paid his office rent also from this money only. Analyze the action. No, he is guilty of professional misconduct because clause 10 says that you have to keep that money separately and use it for the purpose for which it was given. Advance was received for the advance. This is perfect. Does not fall within the ambit. Money received for expenses incurred for payment of statutory fees, etc. It should have been reasonable short period, but 1 month is not a short period. So money is not spent within the reasonable period should be deposited immediately. So 1,20,000 fine. 70 not paid is guilty of professional misconduct because you should have transferred to a separate bank account. And 40 was utilized for office and this is wrong against the instruction. So will be guilty of professional misconduct. Yes, any doubt, students? Any of these points? Yeah. You see, majority of the question will be revolving in schedule 3. I told once your schedules are done, then your professional ethics is done. Okay, so now we learnt about your schedule 2 part 1. Okay, so what is your schedule 2 part 1 for CA in practice? And what is the first clause? You have got confidentiality. So you need to maintain the confidentiality, should not compromise with the confidentiality, otherwise you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. You should not disclose the information. Now, what is your clause number 2? That means examination. You should do the examination yourself, your partner, employee. Otherwise, you should not express any opinion. You should not permit your name to be associated with that information if you have not done the examination. Third is prospective financial informations. That means you should not give any impression as if you are audited. Fourth, no audit of substantial interest entity. That means if you have got substantial interest in any entity, you should not be accepting any audit. Confidentiality, examination of financial statements should be done by you. Prospective information, no audit of substantial interest entities. Fifth, material fact, non-disclosed. Sixth, material misstatement. You didn't disclose the material misstatement. 7, gross negligence because of this. 8, SAAE, you failed to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence and you didn't even disclaim the opinion because you didn't have any evidence. 9, departure from generally accepted audit procedures or audit standards. And 10, deposit client money. So these are all the 10 clauses which were applicable, and in this we saw this is one very big clause, clause number 4. Other things are very small and simple. Very few questions are there. We have already seen it. Yes, is it fine, students? Is it okay? Comfortable? Yes, so now we will move on to the next part. As I told, see, we are done, almost we are done. Part 2. Now, part 1 we have seen for CA in practice. Part 2 for all the members. There is nothing here for CA in service. Okay, what is clause number 1? Contravenes any provisions of the Act or regulations made or any guidelines issued by the council. So this is also generally you can attract. Wherever something like advertisement guidelines were not there, they didn't follow this, didn't follow that, you can always say that okay, you will be guilty under clause number 1 of part 2 of the second schedule, because they have contravened the regulations or council guidelines, because something like advertisement guidelines they must have violated. So you can always bring clause number 1 part 2 of the second schedule. Now, what are the general types of regulations you have not complied, like engagement of the article students, registration you have not done in time, premium, that means today we are paying stipend. Now, once upon a time stipend was received from the article student. Paying to the stipend, premium means that if you want article strip, then you give me some money. Stipend payment was not happening, termination, okay, audit assistance, compliances you didn't do, complaint against the employer by the article assistant. So these are all the different restriction on the fees. Part-time employment as chartered accountant, but without taking permission only you accepted the engagement. Chartered accountant, you engage in business without taking permission. So these are all the different clauses where you would have been guilty of professional misconduct, where you didn't follow the regulations or guidelines of the council. Okay, let us see some of the questions. That's very easy. Any 4 council guidelines you can refer. Manager of ZFP Private Limited, CA Vinil, in the need of certificate in respect of consumption statement of raw material without having certificate of practice. So you should have had one certificate of practice. Now you issued certificate to the manager of the company. Later you came to know, I should not have done that, and then you applied for a COP the very next day. See, today you issued one report without having certificate of practice. To settle it right, you applied for a COP. Yes, you are guilty of professional misconduct because you have contravened section 6. Section 6 says that you don't have any capacity other than a practicing CA, and without obtaining COP, you cannot become a practicing CA. So you have violated section 6, and section 6 is belonging to the ICA only. So you are guilty under clause number 1, part 2 of the second schedule. CA practice certified in the requisite form, article assistant was undergoing training. In the while that article student was in employment between 10 to 6. Oh, this is the concept of dummy article. The principal took one dummy article, and that article student was working somewhere for bigger amount of salary. But this principal told, okay, he is working here only. Now on a monthly salary of 17,000 and attended the office only after 6 p.m. No, our ICA regulation says that any article student that measure 10 to 5 should be in the audit firm. Other time you can go and pursue your become evening college. If you want to do part-time work, you go and do it. But that major time 10 to 5, you should be in the office. You cannot have a part-time article student. Like we have got part-time employee, no? Have you come across this concept called a part-time article student? No, that doesn't work for us. The chartered accountant pleaded that assistant was on audit of the company, that's why he sent outside. No, he is guilty of professional misconduct because he violated the regulations. He should have provided like a strict attendance of the article student from morning, say 9 to 5. What type of work given, he should have maintained the register. None of the things they have done, so he is guilty of professional misconduct. So he had an article student, since his practice and receipt of fees is seasonal, stipend he did not pay from April to December. But he paid it from January to March along with the shortfall with the interest of 5% per annum. Again, sorry, guilty of professional misconduct because you are supposed to pay stipend every month. You cannot have this cumulation, then together you will pay along with the interest and all. None of the things can save you, because not paying the stipend on every month will attract the violation of the provisions of your regulations of the ICA, like stipend to article assistants, regulation 48. You didn't follow it. Yes, you become guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, you all got good ideas, no? So what could have gone wrong? Yes, so we'll see. Is there any question? Now, manager ZX approached. Okay, this we have already seen. Okay, there's only one question. Now, the second clause number 2 says that being an employee of any company, firm or person discloses confidential information acquired in the course of his employment except as when required by the law or permitted by the employer. Okay, this is very easy and very similar to Schedule 2, Part 1, Clause 1. What is this? Confidentiality for CA in practice. Since we don't have separate part for employees, I think they could have done that actually, very easy. But they didn't do it. Straight away they said Part 2. So Part 2 is applicable for all the members. Okay, in this second clause is nothing but the first clause of Part 1 of second schedule. So just like an employee, the CA in practice should ensure the confidentiality of the client data. An employee of the company also should ensure the confidentiality. So they will be guilty of professional misconduct whether they were in part-time employment or full-time employment. So employee also should take care of the confidentiality, because the employees will have access to the confidential information, should not divulge such information. Are there any questions? No, there is no questions on this. Okay, the next clause is your false information. Okay, so what is this false information? A CA in practice or any CA will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if they include any information, statement, written forms submitted to the institute, council or any of its committee, director discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board or appellate, particulars known to be false. Okay, I'll give an analogy to you students, then you will understand it better. See, similar thing we have already come across where Schedule 1, Part 3, all the members. First was clause number 1 was calling yourself FCA. Clause number 2, not giving information to ICI, disciplinary committee, appellate authority, quality review board, and wrong information, clause number 3, wrong information to others. So this particular part, not giving information, is twisted as wrong information or false information to ICA. So very easy to remember. So what is your clause number 1? You need to should follow all the regulations of the ICA. Very easy. Clause number 2 is very similar to the confidentiality of clause number 1 of the part 1. You have to, as an employee, you have to maintain the confidentiality. Clause number 3 is also very similar, where you should not give false information to the ICA. Here you didn't give the information. Okay, I will make you to remember this with an analogy. Like for example, your mother calls you. You are busy doing some work, and mother calls you with your name, and again she calls. You don't hear. Now mother becomes very angry. She will come to the place where you are sitting. You are watching TV. Now tell me students, will your mother beat you or will your mother scold you? Mother will scold you. So when mother is asking, ICA is asking information, and you are not providing that information, you are keeping quiet and watching TV. So your mother will scold you. Where? Part 1, because scolding is small. Part 1, sorry, Schedule 1, Part 3, Clause 2. Followed? What if you have lied to your neighbor? Yes, again mother will scold you for lying to the neighbor. Have you ever lied to your mother? Beating only, no? So ICA says that, look, if you are not giving me information when I am asking you, I will book you under Schedule 1, which is a mild punishment. Under Part 3, Clause 2. But if when I am asking you and you are telling me something and you are lying to me, if that information has to be false, then I am going to punish you under Schedule 2, Part 2, clause number 3. So clause number 3 is false information only. Previous false information was for all the other people. So when you lie to your neighbor, mother will only scold you, schedule 1. But when you lie to your own mother, mother will beat you. This is your schedule 2. I hope you clear. Okay, so you should not give false information to your ICA. So where a chartered accountant was employed as a manager, admission as a fellow stating that he was a partner. See, this is lying. Guilty of professional misconduct because he gave false information. He, during the proceeding of disciplinary committee, he gave wrong statements on oath. Wow, khatarnak. Guilty. Despite reminders, he failed to reply to the letters asking to confirm the date of leaving the services. Okay, so this is not giving information. So we could have placed it under your previous one. He failed to reply to the letters. Okay, so they have put it here. I don't know why they have put, but they didn't tell the clause. Under the clause, he is guilty. Which clause? We can put that previous one. Now, Mr. P and Q are running the firm, and they introduced Mr. R, a chartered accountant, without his knowledge only, as a partner, while submitting an application for empanelment as an auditor for branches of the public sector bank, because by showing more number of partners, they can get better branches and good quality branches they can get. So there was one good practice in CA. He was not aware only. His name was put as a partner here by these two P and Q. God knows why criminal ideas are running. However, they added Mr. R as a partner, offering 25% share later. So in a hurry on 23, they simply included with when he was not a partner, and later he was admitted into the partnership. Now he is guilty of professional misconduct. Why? Because the bank empanelment, even though it is overseen by RBI, it is maintained by ICI. So in the bank empanelment form, if you have given false information, it is equivalent to lying to ICI only. Now, Director of Discipline received the information of the misconduct of Jayaprakash. Now, audit of college was accepted by Jayaprakash, working as part-time lecturer. Can he accept it? No. ICA Council guideline has told very clearly. You can also write clause number 1 that council guidelines have been violated. So, he is guilty of professional misconduct. Clause number 1, part 2, schedule 2. He had not taken the permission of the ICA for working on the part-time lecturer. See, first of all, this was the misconduct. Plus, for being the part-time lecturer also, he didn't take the permission because it was college, not general permission. CSR was sponsored and his name was CA Jayaprakash, full stop. Who told you to give the name of the audit firm? So this becomes another professional misconduct. On the basis it was found that he was guilty and reprimanded, and a fine of 1 lakh was imposed. Against, he preferred an appeal with the appellate authority, submitting a statement of appeal. And in that application also it was discovered that there were false facts. See, one more misconduct now. Later, Jayaprakash admitted it and apologized it. Yeah, why so many things? So, in this case, you have to write audit of college, which you was not supposed to do. Second schedule, part 1, clause number 4. Business having substantial interest. Lectureship in the college. First schedule, part 1, clause number 11. Other business without taking without permission. CSR sponsoring. First schedule, part 1, clause 6. Solicitation. ICA Council guidelines was issued. Wrong information to ICA. Second schedule, part 2, clause 3. Okay, this particular thing, appellate authority, he has given a wrong information. Yes, is it clear, students? Next, clause number 4, the last clause. He defalcates or embezzles the money received in the professional capacity. That means if you are stealing the money, okay, maybe as part of you as trustee, as a liquidator, or whichever capacity, if you have received a money and if you have defalcated or embezzled it, you will be guilty under clause number 4. Okay, the last one, only one clause is there, part 3, other misconduct. So if you have, what is other misconduct? Not connected to the profession. If you are convicted under any criminal or civil case, and if your imprisonment is less than 6 months, then schedule 1, part 4, clause 1. But if your imprisonment period is more than 6 months, then schedule 2, part 3, okay, part 3 is not, there is no clause because there is only one clause. So if it is exceeding 6 months, you will be punished under this clause. And you see, students, majority portion of your professional ethics is covered by your clause. So I hope you are very clear about all these clauses. 12 clauses for schedule, 3 clauses, sorry, 2. Okay, we can make a note. Schedule 1, part, schedule 1, part 1. Okay, who? CA in practice. So you can make a practice. How many clauses? 12 clauses. Schedule 1, part 2, CA in service, only 2 clauses. Schedule 1, part 3, all members, 3 clauses. You remember? Lying to the third party, not calling yourself FCA, not giving information to ICA when they are calling this information. And schedule 1, part 4, all members, 2 clauses, where your imprisonment is more than 6 months and you have brought a disrepute to the. Yes, now we have got schedule 2, part 1, who is your CA in practice. You have got 10 clauses like confidentiality, okay, not due care is not taken, due negligence. Okay, so these were all of the instances. Sufficient appropriate evidence is not taken. Clause 2, schedule 2, part 2, all. Okay, so we have got 5 clauses where you are you gave the false information to ICI. Okay, just now we have seen, no, all these 5 clauses will be there. Schedule 2, part 3, all other misconduct. Okay, we have got only 1 clause. If your imprisonment is more than 6 months, you will be liable for it. Yes. So with this, we are done with all the schedules of the professional ethics. Okay. Now I say we will go through the ICA guidelines. Okay. So if I have to show you, one minute. Yeah, you can read my book, this Q and this material. Yes, so we have seen CA Act. We have gone through this maintenance of branch accounts, membership, disabilities, inquiry procedure, other misconduct, companies not to engage. Yes, we have completed with the CA Act, and then we started with the schedule number 1, 4 parts, schedule number 2, 3 parts. Yes, we have done with both, and we were in volume number 2, ICA Domestic Code of Ethics. Now we are moving to chapter number 3, Council Guidelines, ICA Council Guidelines 2008. So this is what they have given, ICA Council Guidelines. Okay, so there were some questions, students, we didn't verify that. Now, Director of Discipline received information of the misconduct of Jay Prakash. Okay, we have already seen this Jay Prakash case. Now, Director Discipline received a matter in respect of CAH proprietor found guilty of the misconduct under clause 4 and clause 11, and penalty was imposed. Against the said order, he preferred an appeal and stated that along with the application, such appellate proceedings were discovered its statement was wrong. Okay, so based on this particular model test paper, this examination question has come. Okay, but so many professional misconduct were not attracted. Okay, they are talking about so many things were not attracted here. So I think only that giving wrong information must have been there. Against the order, he preferred an appeal to the authority and some facts were wrong. Apologized. Based on the above scenario, matters placed to the discipline. Comment on the violation of the provision of CA Act and its schedules there to be H. Okay, so you have to tell clause number 3, second part, second schedule, because he has given wrong information to the appellate authority. Before which authority the matter will be closed, since it is the second schedule, disciplinary committee. Has H filed an appeal in the appellate authority against the order? What is the time limit? Okay, which is 90 days. So you will be guilty of professional misconduct. So you will be, in case H was found guilty of professional clause 4, second schedule, so it should be go to the disciplinary committee. This will be the punishment, and time limit will be the 90 days. Okay, so you may have to tell the time limit from the which date to which date. So add 90 days for the date of order of the disciplinary committee. If you are not happy from the disciplinary committee order, within 90 days you have to apply for appellate. Okay, other misconduct. They have to write a short notes on other misconduct. So you wrote about all this, like what all the things are covered under the misconduct, part 4 of the first schedule and part 3 of the second schedule. So this may not be related to your professional misconduct. So KYC norms we have already seen previously examples. Yes, council guidelines. Just a minute, friends. Let me check this council guidelines. Okay, so we can check this council guidelines. So this was issued in the year 2008. Okay, under clause number 1, part 2 of the second schedule. You remember, no? Wherever the council guidelines are violated, we always say that he is guilty of professional misconduct under second schedule, part 2, clause 1. Okay, now what we will see here. First of all, to short title, it is said council guidelines 2008 and applicable to all the members. Yeah, because part 2 of second schedule is for all the members. Now, conduct of a member being an employee, member of the employee shall exercise the due diligence. See, we have got due diligence and gross negligence for the CA in practice, but not for the member. So in 2008, they brought for the employees also. So if any employee does their job with gross negligence, they will be punished for under schedule number 2. Why? Because they have not complied with the ICA guidelines. Council guidelines says that you have to be careful. If you don't do it, then you will be punished under clause number 2. Your membership can go for life. Appointment as a member as a cost auditor. Okay, they omitted this chapter. Opinion of the financial statement when there is a substantial interest. It's also being omitted, and separate guideline had come. They have already given that 18 points. Maintenance of the books. Now, CA in practice shall maintain certain books called cash book and the ledger. Okay, without books you cannot operate. Chartered accountant did not maintain the books. He is the practicing CA of his professional earning, thinking that his income is less than the limits prescribed under Income Tax Act Section 44A, AA. Okay, some deemed provisions. Now that has nothing to do with the maintenance of books of accounts. You have to maintain the books of accounts, whether your income is crossing the tax limits or not. That is not a problem. So Council Guidelines 2008 says that, Chapter 5, that maintenance of books of accounts has to happen, cash book and ledger has to be maintained. If not maintained, it will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, let us see, is there any questions on the books? Chartered accountant did not maintain. Okay, this already we have seen, illustration number 36. Books of account is mandatory. Yes. Now, how many tax audits you can take? Chapter number 6. Under section 44 AB of Income Tax Act 1961, a member shall not accept more than specified number of tax audits. So how many? 60. Provided in case of firm of chartered accountants, the specified number shall be construed for specified for every partner. That means if there are 10 partners, each partner will get eligible to get 60. So 600 tax audit they can sign. Out of the 600 tax audit, only one partner can sign all the 600 tax audit, because we already seen that you can permit your partner to sign. Clause number 12, part number 1, schedule number 1. Provided further, where any of the partner is also the partner in any other firms, then you don't get 60 plus 60. But just because you became partner in 2 audit firms, it is not 60 plus 60. Your number of tax limit should be taken for all the firms together. Now you decide how much to distribute now. Suppose if me as an individual, I can get maximum 60 tax audit. In order, that should not be concentration. They wanted to distribute the tax audit income to all the members. So you cannot hold more than 60. But if I am a partner in 2 firms, then this 60 should be distributed to 2 audit firms. That you decide. Any partner who practice as one and having individual capacity also, that means I'm partner in 2 audit firms plus I'm doing my personal practice also, then 60 has to be distributed to all the 3. So in no case we will permit one person to exceed more than 60. So it is person wise, not your capacity like individual capacity, firm, no. Audit conducted under 44 AD, ADA, AE are not to be taken into account. This is purely tax audit under section 44 AB, not your AD, ADA, AE. Okay, now what is the maximum limit? 60 tax audits you can take. In case the firm assignments of the firm financial 60 tax audit assignments per partner in the firm. So if there are 10 partners, you get 600. One partner can sign all the 600. So each year audit should be taken as a separate assignment. That means each 1 year, one tax audit, specified number. So each year's audit would be 60. Next year again you will get 60. Next year again you will get 60. If you are the auditor of both head office and the branch, because there is possibility that this auditor himself is the branch office also, head office also, then both the tax audits are considered as one tax audit, not 2 separate tax audits. But head office auditor is different, branch auditor is different. There are 2 tax audits. This is different tax audit. This is different tax audit. If both the auditors are one only, then it is one tax audit. The one or more branches of the same concern. Okay, so you can have more branches, but one auditor only did it. So that's also considered as one tax audit. Chartered accountant part-time practicing shall not be taken into account. I told you. Part-time practicing CA means what? CA in employment plus COP. Is a part-time practicing CA. No, you should not consider for tax audit purpose. Otherwise, almost out of 4 lakh people, 3 lakh, so at least I also would have done that. I would have registered and I would have given my audit to somebody else. I will get some commission, no? No, that's not permitted. Your dormant partner is not eligible. Chartered accountant maintain the record of tax audit assignments. For computing the limit, number of partners on the date of acceptance shall be considered. That means after I have become a partner, okay, so the firm gets eligibility of 180. Say already 2 partners were there plus 1. I joined. So now they become eligible for 180. So when I am accepting it, okay, already 170 we have accepted it. Now 171 I accepted. I was a partner. But after accepting 171 I resigned. Done. Your limit gets freezed to 171. Because last year when you accepted 171, there were 3 partners. If you accept 172, then gone. You are guilty of professional misconduct. I hope you are clear for this. So on the date of acceptance, you should see how many partners you have. On the date of acceptance of 171, you have 3 partners. So what is your eligibility? 180. But after that somebody left. So you have got only 2 partners. What is your maximum limit? 120. So can you accept 172? No, not accepted. So G is the partner along with the 6 partners. G alone signed 290. So 6 into 60, 360, they are eligible. One person only signed 290. Yes, done. No problem. You can do it. So 60 tax audits will be assigned, available. Maximum will be 360, and what they got is only 290. And 44 AB is only considered. AD, AA, ABB, and all should not be considered. So G will not be guilty of professional misconduct. Now PQR is the partnership firm with the three partners. So exclusively associated with the firm. That means they don't have any other firm, other partnership, nothing. Not doing partnership in individual capacity also. Okay, now it's purely firm related eligibility you have to see. For the year, the partners have undertaken audit and signed the reports under 44 AB. This is relevant. AD not relevant. So forget it. So how much? 170 you have done. So 3 into 60, 180 is maximum eligible. Is you professional misconduct? No. Maximum is 180, and what you have done, you have taken only 170. 44 ADA is not to be considered. Only 44 AB has to be considered. Yes, let us see any Q&As. Yes, we have already seen similar questions. ZAS is a partnership firm, exclusively associated, not doing private partnership. So CA that took 35, CAZ took 5, not an issue. One person can sign everything. This has not to be considered. 44. Okay, sorry, AB for corporate clients, non-corporate clients. Okay, but you have to consider both. So how much total? 35 plus 60, 70. So 105. So how many partners are there? 2 partners. So 120 is eligibility. Perfect. 44 AD, ADA, you need not take it. Okay, so now for the financial year, CAZ undertaking the audits, sign the reports as follows. Okay, you can do it, not an issue. Advise whether this is a professional misconduct. No, because you can get a maximum of 60 per partner. AD, ADA, AE need not be considered. So in the instant case, CAZ had taken 122 into 120 is the maximum limit. So 44 AB, you have taken only 118. 90 reports signed by CAJ. Okay, how did you get 118? For the financial year, CAZ has undertaking, in the individual capacity they have taken. How much? It is 4 plus 9. 4 plus 9, 13. 13 has to be added to 105, which is comes to 118. Okay, 118 is also within the limit of 120 only. So there is no professional misconduct. Other things should not be considered. Yes, this is not guilty. There is no limit on the assignments. Therefore, the firm can accept the 2 or more tax audits. That means 2 more tax audits they can accept. Yes, I hope it's clear, students. A member of the institute shall not accept more than number of tax audits. GA is the partner with the 6 partners. They have signed 290 tax audits. Okay, already we have seen this. 360 is their eligibility. 290 he can sign. Yes, students. So I think yeah, we can wind up for today. Yeah, because anyhow, one very small portion is left out. So we can continue in the next class. Yeah, I think 1 or 2 more classes we will be finishing this professional ethics also. Yes, sure. So we will continue in the next class. Okay, our next class will be on Friday morning. Okay, next 2 days I will not be taking. So hopefully by Friday we will complete this professional ethics. Yes. Thank you, students. You can disconnect.